Down at Peterborough, we can't pay protest. There's one like the pirate girl in front of you. Hello, mate.
He's friendly.
Yeah, he's friendly, mate. Yeah. Archie. Yeah.
Archie. Hello, Archie. Hey. Boy, is he? Yeah. He's done stuff here called
Archie Down. Sorry?
He's alright. Called Rebel. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, this one's a bit of a rebel.
Is he,
Yeah, a whingy moaning one. There you go, look. On command.
Have a good day, man.
Cheers, mate. Hello to the person just joined, just waiting for a protest to start here in Peterborough. We can't pay protest. If I'm a bit shaky, I've got the dog moving me about everywhere. Plus he's got shaky hands. Could do with some Pink Floyd. Probably gonna, it's probably be taken down now anyway because there's music playing, copyright playing. Hello, how you doing, Alicia? I think that is. Archie, leave the drink alone. Sorry? Yeah. Archie, sit. Right, come here. Turn round. Sit. Sit. Sit down. Archie, sit. As you can tell, he's not very good at instructions. That's all right. There aren't enough people today want to pet him walking up here.
Oh, if you've got a dog, you meet loads of people, they all want to talk to you. Dogs or kids?
Got a puppy and never pulled a bird. Joking.
They're after you, they're after your puppy.
Well, I'm not saying I didn't, but joined us. We didn't work very well, did it? We can't pay protest, Peterborough. Seems a little bit wet at the minute, and a bit cold, like last time. It was cold, wasn't it, as well? Thank you for the lights, nice one. Well, they appeared and then they disappeared. All right, hey, Dan. Blake, are you any good at holding dogs? No.
I've been humbled to see the outpouring of generosity towards people who city.
Yeah, that's mainly what it's for, so I can get me a drink. No, you finished. No, I don't want you. You know what he's like. He'll yank it out your hand or something.
Tirelessly, keep on top of sorting and packing, finding capture, and well-needed rest. Peterborough People's Assembly extends our deepest love and support to the Ukrainian community and all those affected by the atrocities currently taking place. Peterborough citizens can make me proud to belong to this community.
Dog. Oh, he's trying to spill my tea.
With increases in costs at supermarkets, fuel stations, and our homes in terms of energy and communications, we need to demand more from our government. More support, more compassion for those hit hardest and most vulnerable. And from the heart. We cannot continue to bear the brunt of cold food bags and relying on our neighbours while our own MP votes against us and our basic needs. Every person on this earth deserves to live a life of dignity, safe in their homes, safe from hunger, safe that their human rights are protected from those we elect to serve us. Today, as the city honours International Women's Day, I am thankful for the strength of the women that went before me to fight against injustice and inequality, and to allow me the opportunity to have a voice about the issues that I care deeply about as we strive for a better world for all of our children. With that, I'm going to hand over to Lisa, the best MP this city has ever had.
Thank you, that was an amazing speech and it's going to be hard to follow that, I'm afraid. I just want to thank you all for being here today, and particularly I want to thank the organisers of this event. It really means a lot to a lot of the people that may not be here today, but we know we're always speaking for more people than actually turn up at these events. So thank you so much for doing that. As the former MP for this city, people still come to me when they need help. So I know that people are really struggling. They're juggling which bill they can afford to pay. They're penalised financially when they miss a payment. They're feeding gas and electric meters that charge them more for the offence of being hard up. The price we pay for things is now much higher. Retail price inflation is now at 7.5%, but our incomes are not rising to match. We're being asked to survive on less after more than a decade of already doing so. The government have removed the £20 uplift for the universal credit benefits that was helping thousands of families in our city. And there's still worse to come. Our gas and electric bills are going to double. That's despite those companies making billions of pounds in profits every year and yet paying very little in tax. Next month our national insurance contributions will go up. It's the same old story. Those with the least are always asked to pay the most. If government wanted to find the money, it can be found. They can line their mates' pockets with billions of pounds in dodgy contracts. They can wipe billions of pounds in business fraud off at the stroke of a pen. They can spaff £37 billion on a track and trace app that doesn't even work, and millions in faulty and out-of-date PPE. Boris Johnson and his ilk will never understand. They were born into wealth and privilege. They got the best education that money can buy. Their money was inherited. When you've got money to start with, everything is easier. How can people like him be the people to fix our problems when they have no idea what our struggles are? It's the job of government to solve these issues, to make our lives easier, but they're failing to act. They're failing to protect us. We shouldn't have to rely on charity to feed our families. We shouldn't have to work for poverty pay. We shouldn't have to make the choice between eating and eating our own food. We have the indignity of food banks, baby banks, now blanket banks. We allow our pensioners to live in poverty. We allow people to sleep on the streets.
Yeah.
Something
Let
is
him go
very,
free.
very wrong, and no
Now I've got
one
hand control of all.
understands it. We need decent jobs with wages that pay. We need affordable housing and well-funded public transport. We need renationalisation of the services that we all rely on. Run for the people of this country and not the shareholders. I'll leave you with a quote from Nelson Mandela. He said, "Overcoming poverty is not an act of charity. It's an act of justice. It's the protection of a fundamental human right, the right to dignity and to a decent life." Thank you for all being here today. It shows those people that are struggling that there are people that care. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lisa. So next speaker we have is Nicola. Nicola is Deputy Leader of the Green Party in Peterborough and a Green Councillor. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for listening to me speak.
Clearly
The
not
cost
is
of
it
living crisis is hitting us where it hurts. While people freeze in their homes, this government
10 minutes
is
in.
warm and cosy in bed with dirty energy companies who are making profits from the misery of millions. I myself have noticed that I'm spending more in the supermarket for less, that my gas payment meter needs topping up more frequently, that my money is not going as far as it used to. I've had the sharp stab of fear as a single parent in the past when I've not been able to afford the basics. As a councillor, residents are coming to me more and more often, asking for help because they just cannot afford the cost of living. The Green Party reiterates our calls for a universal basic income. A universal basic income has been our policy for decades. A UBI will give financial security for all. A universal basic income would ensure that freelance workers are no worse off than those in regular employment, and that every single one of us has enough income to meet our basic needs. It would ensure no one is left homeless, hungry, or unable to heat their homes. On all levels of government where the Greens hold power, universal basic income is being touted as the solution. In the House of Lords, our Green peers, Natalie Bennett and Jenny Jones, argue on the side of the basic income throughout their work. In Parliament, our Green MP, Caroline Lucas, has been tabling motions to convince government to commission work on UBI since 2016. Local Green councillor for Norwich, Jamie Osborne, has passed a motion calling on UK government to pilot a basic income in Norwich last year, and in Islington became the
That's it,
first
you've
London
lost your phone
borough
now.
to back a UBI trial following a motion proposed by Green Party councillor Caroline Russell.
Blake.
I also tabled a similar motion asking Peterborough City Council to
Over there,
back
look.
a UBI
That
trial.
girl's got some
We gave
signs,
support
look.
from Lib Dems and Labour, but the
I've
motion
seen
was
that.
not
I've seen all the
supported by the
protesters,
Conservatives
yeah, the
and Warrington
Palestinian ones,
First,
everything.
and therefore the
Yeah.
motion did not pass. We are coming forward with solutions. The Green Party wants us to aspire to a future where energy bills are virtually non-existent, where homes have the latest heat pumps and insulation, where the companies making money from dirty industries are the ones facing soaring costs, not consumers. Since the Green Party was founded half a century ago, we called for urgent investment in renewable energy, wind, tidal and solar energy, and the end to our addiction to fossil fuels. We are often told that this would be too costly or expensive. It is now clearly obvious that if we invested in renewable energy, we would not see soaring fossil fuels now. The latest IPCC report makes it clear how humanity's use of fossil fuels has had a devastating impact on our climate and environment. Our reliance on oil and gas, while not only costing the earth and increasing fuel poverty, also leaves us susceptible to major national security concerns, such as those we are witnessing in Russia. It is
Getting go for his
imperative
legs
that
then,
this
and he'll be like,
government
"Whoa."
starts taking necessary steps to wean us off this addiction to fossil fuels and deliver renewables and efficiency measures required to ensure we are not beholden to despots such as Putin. The Green short-term approach to the cost of living crisis is to call for a £40 increase in universal credit and a non-means tested winter fuel payment of £320 and an emergency grant scheme for insulation of households at risk of fuel poverty. We would fund this through a tax on the profits of the fossil fuel industry. Greens want a future that is fairer and affordable for all, and Greens want a future that is fairer and more humane for our planet and its ecosystems and the people living on it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nicola. So next to speak is Patrick from Unite.
Good morning. I'll have to get you in here. I'm from Unite, but as you can see, I'm a member of PSC and on the Trades Council. Last time I spoke here a couple of weeks ago, I made the point about energy, that we shouldn't mess around at the borders about energy. What we need to do is get all the energy companies nationalised and bring it to the state control, because that's the only way we will control prices. The Tory party believes in free enterprise, and yet they prop up loads of companies by subsidies or tax relief and so on. There's not a free market in energy. If they were, they would let all these companies go to the wall. And then, what are they going to do about it then? Now, the previous speaker said about subsidies. It's very clear that people are going to face a horrendous cost of living on energy in the next in this year, never mind years to come. And we don't know where it is going to stop in prices. The same issue people are going to face in their jobs, because inflation is estimated to be between 6 to 8%, and yet
I think he's trying to get on film and camera again, isn't he?
Can I get on YouTube? So we are facing prices of energy.
He loved it, didn't he?
And they expect that people will be in fuel double this year alone.
That protest
Now,
Yeah,
we don't
yeah.
expect much.
We'll have to show him the video like another day. So look,
Don't
look.
expect much.
You'll love it.
You'll have to subscribe, mate.
It's like, do you know which
Because you
Sunday
can
it's
play
like be on my
about
protest
Ukraine
site anyway.
and come out
They
and
get
speak,
left on
say
the
we're all with
You know
Ukraine.
when you
But
know when
you've
it's
been out in
advertising
front,
protest,
you
but like
guys,
going or interested.
meanwhile, we sit back
Brings up
and applaud you on the
videos
back.
and stuff.
No.
But what are they doing about their local
No, you can see that.
population.
Did you
How
go
are
on then?
they
So you're going
to
on the protest?
subsidise
No, probably not.
anybody
Ah, that's probably
in
why
the
not.
city who's affected by fuel poverty or poverty?
It's over there.
They are making no plans to deal with this. So I would
Huh?
say
Trying
to
to get in front
people,
of the camera.
there's an election coming up in there. I'm not telling you to go and vote for a particular
I'd be
party.
blatant and just go sit in front of
I'm
the
telling
meeting.
you now, make sure you, your friends,
Oh, I'll be
and everybody
blatant.
do vote and vote out this regime in this city. Thank you.
It's at his moment, look. This is like, he wants to be a YouTube star, this one down here. This is little Blake, he just loves being on YouTube. You do! Is that your councillor?
Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I feel very privileged to be invited to speak to you today. I'm Wendy Smith, retired local government officer, retired member of Unison, an ex-Unison steward, and a former candidate in the City Council elections last May, and I have been selected to
Good
stand
signs this time.
again this May.
Yeah, you're not blown away this time.
But in addition to that, I am just like all of you, with a family who share the same concerns that affect all of us. I have an autistic grandson who's been made very mentally ill from lockdowns and isolation. And now he's being stressed out because he may not be able to pay his fuel bills. My parents told me about the problems that they experienced in the 1930s. And sadly, those self-same problems have returned, thanks to the uncaring Tories. It is no coincidence that the massive problems being caused for working class people then and now was and is a Tory government. My late parents struggled to pay for coal to heat the lounge and for a supply of hot water to take a soak in a metal bath in front of the fire. They also struggled to put food on the table, despite working hard and for long hours. I know what they felt about the Tories' actions during those years of keeping the working class down, and nothing has changed. There was a lack of affordable houses 90 years ago, and this problem is still prevalent today as a result of not having a national house building programme sufficient for needs. There was no money for their health care from their low wages, so they were unable to see a doctor when they were taken ill, but still needed to work. Then the National Health Service, founded by the Labour government
And they shake us.
on the 5th of July 1948,
You think the cold or
through
the
the
scared of
Deputy
saying,
Prime
it's just
Minister
them doing that
and
weird
Mary
thing.
Bevan,
Yeah.
transformed
Hyperactive
this
nerves,
country.
because they're always hyperactive.
Now that is at risk of total privatisation.
Puts
under
my
this
ADHD
corrupt
down in zero with this
and
dog.
uncaring Tory government.
Passed it on, yeah.
We need to tell this government that we have had enough. Enough of the highest ever petrol costs, the energy bills increasing by 54%, and food and other household bills rocketing. The government
got silent
could
flip now.
remove the value added tax on gas and electricity, as this is a tax that hits the lowest paid workers the hardest. It's increasing national insurance rates, and this will hit many people. At the same time, they're allowing the energy companies to get away with excessive profits, multinational companies to dodge their fair share of tax, money being put into offshore tax accounts, and the rich get richer. There needs to be a global minimum corporate tax rate to crack down on international firms diverting profits to low-tax countries in order to minimise their tax bills. So our problems have always been as a result of capitalism, obscene profits and tax avoidance. So what is reportedly the 5th richest country in the world? We have hard-working people having to use food banks to survive. There is sufficient to go round in the world, but the problem is the rich who cannot be satisfied. Government ministers were warned that the bounce back loan scheme would result in fraud by the National Audit Office. The government failed to put adequate measures in place to prevent fraudsters stealing billions of pounds. It's estimated that more than a third of the loans, worth £17 billion, may never be repaid.
Oh wait, she has a sign. I want to...
This country is now estimated to be £370 billion in the red as a result of how this government have handled matters over the past 2 years.
I don't want to get paid on the yield.
That debt will take 20 years or more to pay back by the people of this country. At the same time, Boris has allowed his cronies to get richer and richer by awarding them contracts for PPE. History has repeated itself because my parents told me that this was how it was in the war years. The rich got richer and the poor got poorer. That's the rich.
Yep.
This city is being represented by a Tory Member of Parliament who fails to understand the problems facing many of the electorate that he is here to serve. Let us send him a message today that we have had enough of his government. His leader, Alexander Boris the Piffle Johnson, is an athlete as he talks a load of piffle. The fight back needs to start today, and I would like to bring this speech to a close with some words that I hope will encourage all of you to do so. Alexander Boris de Piffle Johnson is an Eton-educated twit. He treats the working class like a local kid. Look after the rich, and to this end they are driven, while for the rest of us, they are increasing the cost of living. While many were crying as loved ones they were going to lose, Boris held his parties with bring your own booze. But we, the voters, we have the clout, so in May we must vote Tories out, Tories out, out. Ladies and gentlemen, it would be good to hear you repeat those words. Tories out, Tories out, out.
Tories out!
Tories out!
Tories out! Tories out! Tories out! Tories out!
Okay, next up we have Shabina. Shabina is a local doctor, healthcare worker and Labour councillor.
There she is.
Sonia?
Comrades, good afternoon. Thank you for all connecting here, because we have a common aim, not just to keep the Tories out, but to highlight some of the stark realisation that families here within Peterborough are one of the most hardest hit in the regards to these soaring inflation rises. In my ward, I have more than 20 families that have reached out to me who are having to eat from food banks, who are unable to dress their children, who are having to choose between buying food and heating their properties because of the austerity that this government has inflicted upon them. Our MP, Paul Bristow, wrote a week ago that he was around the corner and ridiculed people who were in poverty in our city and shouted out from the green benches that he is privileged to sit on that food banks are there to feed the poor, the needy. Well, it's about time we told him that we will stand for this no longer. So we need each and every one of you to talk to friends, to talk to family about where they need to put their vote in this May's election and in the next general election. To tell him that we mean business, that we represent everyone, that everybody has a right to a decent roof over their head, to heated homes, to food on the table, and to a good education. So, together, let's join, and just like my comrade Wendy said, let's make sure that we become stronger, bigger in numbers, and vote the Tories out. Out.
Tories out! Tories out! Tories out! Tories out! Tories out! Tories out!
You can kick out the Tories. Next we have Mike, who's going to tell us a little bit about an event that's happening tomorrow.
I can't really say anything more than everybody said already, except
Can't hear. Huh? What? Can't hear.
that it's always
Up where?
us that suffers.
What, standing,
Whether it's
speaking?
here,
Not in this
whether it's
protest,
in
another
the
protest,
Ukraine,
yeah.
whether it's in the
We did
Yemen,
homeless protest
whether
once here where we put
it's
loads of
Palestine,
stuff in there for people to come and
whatever it
get.
is,
No.
it's us, the working class that bloody suffer.
Oh, that was years ago. You would have been a baby.
Class.
It was in
What I
2015.
want to say
Yeah.
this lunchtime is to remember one of the great comrades in Peterborough, and that is Ron Graves. What an example he was to all of us, and we lost him, and it was a sad, sad loss. And tomorrow night there is a memorial poets evening in the Draper's Arms, and I would like you all to come along there. There will be a collection for, I'm not quite sure what for, but for,
For beers.
but it will be a grand evening, and what a wonderful, wonderful place.
Collection for beers.
One of the greatest
What a way to celebrate someone's life.
that Peterborough has ever
Get
seen.
smashed up.
Let's do it for him, the memory of him, and for us, the working class.
So next up to speak we have Shaz Nawaz, leader of the local Labour Party. Thank you, Shaz.
Thank you very much, and it's an honour to be here. And in fact, I was hoping to see Paul Bristow, because we've got plenty of cameras here, and that's where he likes to be. Talking about Paul Bristow, I think where he is, Lorna. Paul Bristow is busy taking photos at food banks, the same food banks that his government has forced upon people. He's busy taking photos at Newark, a very important organisation in Peterborough, which helps children with special needs, which his own
But they want to close down.
has cut the budget
Yeah.
for by best part of
Yeah, go and get your pictures taken at this place they want to shut down by the people who are going to shut it down. Nice, eh?
Ward, talking to the residents who've been burgled and writing to the police asking for more resources, which his government has cut. Now let's talk about the Tories. We've got people who are thinking whether they should heat or eat, while Boris Johnson is having parties where they boast and toast. What they're boasting about? The highest number of deaths due to COVID, having spent 23 billion on track and trace, giving contracts to their cronies. What are they toasting about? Food banks, highest record number of homeless people, rough sleeping, people can't afford to live. Now I can spend all day, by the way, talking about the Tories, but that's not going to change anything. But we know what a good Labour government does. We provide welfare to people who deserve it. We introduced a national minimum wage. We started.
Did you hear that? Did you see him? He just
we
went.
fund education. We fund policing. And those are the same
Did you hear it?
we will do in Peterborough with the support of my colleagues from
See,
the
when you're
Green
quiet,
Party,
you're loud.
from the Liberal Democrats.
Oh, right, well, he's getting flip
Peterborough
reader.
deserves better. And we can only have that by having a Labour-run council with our other colleagues. So we can talk all day long, but the only way we bring change is by making sure in May you go and vote for the Labour Party, but that's the only way Peterborough will change. We deserve better, and we will get better if we all go out and vote Labour in May. Thank you.
Tax the rich! Feed the kids! Feed the kids! Tax the rich! Feed the kids! Tax the rich! Feed the kids!
Oh, there she is. So next up we have Anna from Extinction Rebellion.
Thank you for letting me talk to you today, and thank you everyone for coming here, because it's so important that we do get together and we do share our concern together. At the moment we are going through multiple crises, and it's a really scary time.
Just need some insulate Britain now, blocking the road.
Down there says it all. That Shell have said that they've got 12 billion profits, and we're all facing a 54% energy rise.
Actually,
And that
even
tells us
low,
a
yeah.
lot about the economic system that we're living under and the problems that it's causing. As the climate and ecological crisis gets worse, the cost of living crisis is going to get worse, and we are all going to suffer even more because of it. As the climate breakdown takes hold, you know, the food is going to become more scarce. As lands become flooded, as our soils become infertile, and these are near-time risks. This is happening now. So the cost of grain is already at an all-time high, and they say it's set to double. So this is a major problem that we face. So Extinction Rebellion, what we want to do is we want to go to the government and we want to actually demand that they transition rapidly from fossil fuels, because we know we need this change. And we're here with the People's Assembly today because People's Assemblies are really important. We need to come together, we need to listen to each other, and we need to work out how we can mitigate the change together, because together we have power, and that's really important.
I can't see him,
Extinction Rebellion have got another mass mobilisation that's going to be in April, and we're going to go down to London and we are going to demand an immediate end to fossil fuels, and that the government stops subsidising and propping up fossil fuels, and that we do invest in renewables, and we do invest solutions for our children and for the future. And that will involve protesting, and will involve disruptive action, but it's really important that happens, because it's not going to happen without demand for that kind of change. We are going to be out in the city as well, and we're going to be knocking on doors, and we're going to be holding climate cafes where people can come together and people can talk about their fears. And we want to build on action so that we can have meaningful change. So we just really thank everybody who's putting effort in. Thank Alex Blower for bringing this together. It's such an important thing. Let's join together, let's listen together, and let's make this change happen that needs to happen.
It's certainly going to be on YouTube at some point.
Thank you, Anna.
Crime watch in a few years' time.
Yeah.
Next up we have Ed Murphy.
Thank you. Thank you to the
Trades Council for the PA today, and the unions for being here. Thank you all for being here. Like you, I have a bit of a dream, aspirational.
One way of stopping him in a minute.
Poverty,
I'll walk up there and we'll come back down here.
Nana was saying one of the things, as part and parcel of that, is tackling the climate emergency. I'm a local councillor for Ravensthorpe. I'm going to focus on what we can do locally to deal with the national and international problems. Locally, we should have been invested in the Green New Deal. Building homes, refitting homes, using buildings properly, diminishing the need for fuel and energy costs. I'd like to see some of the banners around here. Shell taking profits while the bills double. Shell, you fuel the
Watch this, I'm going to go around and
demonstrated against Shell many, many years ago. Bad, naughty profiteers. The enemy is profit. In Peterborough, we really do have people go to protest. It's not about protest, we need to provide solutions as well.
Sonia, what did I say?
Building new council homes. Tackling the misery of homelessness by guest people in dwellings are things you don't use for temperature. In our council, there's hundreds of thousands of pounds on hotels and bed and breakfast. No wonder 22 of them are private landlords. Now, last Wednesday we had a council meeting.
Sorry, mate.
28 to 28. It was the most important meeting for many, many years. It was the budget meeting. Had that vote gone another way, the Tories would have walked £250,000 in allowances. Immediately reinstate those education, school meals vouchers, which the county council providing Peterborough or not. Other people have said when process develops, when it gets to a critical level, things do change. It's all about voting. It's about taking action and doing things. We can cooperate. We can cooperate to make things better. Talk to your neighbour, use their broadband. You don't need to pay for two. Talk to your neighbour, share food, open food cooperative. We can cooperate. With the climate emergency, with the profiteers and racketeers running our government, their way is not the solution. You don't need conflict to get out of problems. Bring your food, bring your ideas to the table.
What, you didn't want to be on YouTube?
Council again on Wednesday night could have done a lot more.
You're always on it, you keep jumping in front of the camera.
Keep their allowances, £250,000 a year.
Because that guy on top of there, don't know, like there.
Yeah, it's what he's looking at. Is the guy up there on top of the building, which is a statue. There's one up there as well, by McDonald's.
Losing money on this project and that stupid project, mistake after mistake. Yes, people can make errors. Don't make errors lending people money to build hotels and then not getting the money back. We shouldn't be lending offshore companies tax avoided money to build hotels and Peterborough. We should be helping our residents. Let's encourage the residents to do the right thing if they can on the 5th of May, to get out and protest before. In 2 months' time, they can vote for the candidates that will be there for them. This is what we've got here is bullshit. The enemy is actually the profit and the profiteers. So we need to act together. And I thank you for all coming for so much. Just to end, one other thing that happened on last Wednesday night was the council, in their vague, opaque, confusing, unintelligible budget papers that you did, they wanted to cut the welfare rights worker. What a time to get rid of the last resort for pensioners, families, people with mental health issues. Nobody else provides support to people with mental health issues. But she, with 30 years of experience, may lose her job. At a time when fuel poverty is probably the worst it has been in decades. When we've seen child poverty double, another 2 million in the last 10 years. We are aspirational, that's why we're here. We aspire for a better world. A better world is possible locally and nationally. I wanted to be here today in the sunshine. I didn't want to be protesting. I wanted to be enjoying our wonderful museum, our theatres, which the council are cutting. Okay, you've got to be here to protest because we need popular people, we need a council that sticks up and wants to make poverty history. Thank you.
Next up to speak is Mike Cannard from Unite Communities.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, you know there's a war on, don't you? It's a war which has claimed 8 to 10,000 lives every winter in this country. And it's going to be war next winter. In recent years, 8 to 10,000 people have died of cold. Most of them are pensioners. Yeah. Most of them are pensioners. 8 to 10,000 a year pensioners. Because they couldn't afford heating. Now,
he's just hyperactive, this one. He's an old man though. Everyone thinks he's a puppy.
What the coalition government did was introduce what they called
Occupy.
pension increases.
That's it, that's what he's doing,
Annual
yeah.
pension reviews give us the highest of one of three factors. Inflation, average wage increases, or 2.5%. And that was actually written into law. Now, of course, last year,
But it's like, oh, brilliant, going out for the day. Dad, why are you standing still? Him, yeah.
people started going back to work. There was a jump in the average wage. Average wages went up
Who are you voting for?
0.8%.
He doesn't even know. This. Sound like a Tory. What are you voting for? Don't know.
Who, by the way, is on 140,000 plus salary, plus benefits. You'll often see pictures of Theresa Coffey with a fag and a drink in her hand. She can afford it, of course. She said that it would be unfair for pensioners to benefit from what they call limp inflation. Limp in the average wage. Inflation at that time was running.
But when I get home now, it looks like it's recording here. I bet I've got what I had on the last one. Most of it was fuzzy, all the way through.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, like pixel picture.
I, as a pensioner,
Makes me think it's a something on this building, the camera or something.
Yeah.
increase of just over 3%. Now, bearing in mind that the pensions are supposed to be linked to the highest of those three factors, and without a doubt, at the moment, the highest of those three factors is inflation. It's already so that next time it's going to be going up.
Can't hear it.
No, it's
Well over 8%. So, we've been shortchanged. They actually changed the law. They changed their own law to shortchange us on our pensions. I have a small occupational pension, like 22 other people. I was actually swindled out of a good part of it by the companies that I work for, and that's often happened to many thousands of other people. But that's occupational pension plus my state pension means that I actually pay income tax. Now, it is all statement. Rishi Sunak, our beloved Chancellor, throws the income tax threshold. So, the effect of inflation and the freezing of that threshold mean that my 3% state pension increase is going to be wiped out several times over. And of course, next month, it's not just the pensions that will be going up. They're lifting the price of the energy price cap. We're going to be looking forward in April to something like a 50% increase in our energy bills. And that's just in April. Now, the energy price cap review is a 6-monthly event. It's going to be going up in October. Now, in the long since this time last year, the wholesale price of gas has gone up by 30.
He he suddenly let go so they're catching that softy moment.
That's a massive increase. Massive increase in the gas price. That's going to be an absolutely massive price for the consumers.
There's Peterborough for you.
£10,000 dead in the last few years. That's history. That's history. It's going to be far worse this year, this autumn, this winter, especially if we have a hard winter. So yes, there is a war, and there's a war in this country, and it's a class war. The Tories have been attacking the working class, and it's a class war. It's a war that we've not been winning.
What?
We have to fight back.
No, because look, there's different words that I've never done.
Save our
Pardon?
Save our lives. Now, I'm a member of Unite. I'm a proud
You need
member of the
glasses?
Unite Union. My union has been leading the fight.
Gnashing of his teeth.
My union has been leading
Dennis
the
the
fight
Menace and gnashing the
against
knacker.
poverty wages and against the boss's attack on working standards. Now, that's all very well if you're actually at work. But if you're not at work, if you're a student, if you're a carer, if you're home, if you're retired like me, you can join Unite Community. It's a special exception for all people who are not full-time, who are not in employment. Now, we have to fight back.
Okay.
In order to fight back, we have to get organised. Organised on the strength of the working class in this country. So join us, join your union, get in the union, get active in your union, make sure that the fight goes on. Because we've got nothing to lose. We've nothing to lose and we've got a world to win. Thank you.
Now we're going to hear from Imtiaz Ali.
Thank you very much. I've not prepared anything. I've not got myself a speech or anything like that. But I wanted to be here, and I'm glad that you guys are here as well. I know some of you are a little bit disappointed that we haven't got a massive crowd that's taking over the whole of Cathedral Square. It's not really in the front and centre of people's consciences exactly what we are living through. People feel the pinch. They don't necessarily understand why. And if you're politically affiliated, associated, if you're involved in politics, you understand how a policy being set up with Westminster affects people living in Welland or in Paston or in Brennan. But the people on the street don't actually understand that. We've had a little altercation there. Alan's had a little kick-off with somebody who doesn't think Tories hate the poor. Are you absolutely mad? Tories absolutely hate the poor. Tories are on the spectrum that believe in eugenics. They believe in killing off people who don't actually add value to the communities in which they live. People want people to just die off. What do you think austerity was? Austerity was cutting funding to save money that you're never going to save, and reduce funding and reduce the support for the very, very poorest in society. And austerity is already shown to have killed off 130,000 people in this country over the last 12, 14 years. So, do the Tories hate the poor? Absolutely they do. You think Jacob Rees-Mogg cares about you and I? Do you think, I mean, Wendy said it best when you talked about Boris Johnson. I mean, Mr. Pavefo, like what does he even care about the people in Peterborough? They absolutely do not care. They care about their cronies, they care about their friends in high places, they care about the business lobbies, that's what they care about. Now, the only thing I want to bring to your attention is when we had Jeremy Corbyn, leader of the Labour Party, a couple of years ago, and all the media was saying, elect him, you're going to send you back to the 70s, it was like this, it was like that. What I'd like to say is, look, I mean, I wasn't around in the 70s, but I remember the 80s. You used to have one person in the house going out to work 40 hours a week, and with that income, you could afford to keep a roof over your head, food on the table, and you wouldn't have to claim benefits. Okay, now you've got households with both people working ridiculous hours, stupid hours, often shift work, hardly seeing each other, hardly having a relationship, not being able to give time to their children in the house, and still struggle to pay their bills, their rent, and their utility bills. And with the cost of living going up, like it has done, and people have seen bills coming through their letterboxes already, the price of bills going up 50 or 60 odd %, it's absolutely atrocious. And we're already on the breadline. Again, somebody said earlier, we're the 5th richest country in the world. Well, that's true. That's true. We are the 5th richest country in the world. By GDP per capita, we are the 5th richest country in the world. But all that means is we've got a heck of a lot of money and not a lot of people to spread it around. Unfortunately, it's the distribution of that wealth that is the problem. Now we've got the top 1% owning 80% of the wealth. We've got about 96% of all the land in the UK owned by private landlords. And what do you have and what do I have? We'd be lucky to have our own house. We have our own house. And there's a lot of land in this country. So it's not even about this country not having the money to make sure everybody has a decent standard of living. It's all about the distribution of that wealth. And that's what we need to fight against. Unfortunately, lots and lots of us are fighting our own little battles. Okay, I've been here and I've been protesting with my brothers and sisters when BLM were protesting. How many others of you were here for BLM? How many of you were here when we had the Palestinian Solidarity March? Right? How many of you were here when we had Extinction Rebellion? Right? How many of you were here when we had LGBTQ? Right? Who's got 4 stars, 5 stars? Has everybody got 4 stars, 5 stars? Yeah, that's what we need to do. We all need to go for 4 stars, 5 stars. We need to know who's suffering, who is a BT, and they're not against Palestinian rights, and they're not against Black Lives Matter and Extinction Rebellion. They're against the working class people of this country. It is you and I that they're against. They're against everything that challenges establishment. And this is what we're not connected to politics. This is what we don't see. We don't see the bigger picture. The bigger picture is, it's either you have or you have not. And unfortunately, all of these groups I've mentioned, we're the have-nots. So we have to unite, and we have to be coordinated. And this is why I really like the group that set this up today, is they're trying to be coordinated. We need to be a lot more smarter in the way we attack our enemies. And don't get me wrong, they are absolutely our enemies. So I just want to finish by saying, thank you for turning up today. Don't give up. I know there's a handful of us here today, but we're going to be back here again and again and again, and we're going to continue this fight until we come out and we win. Thank you very much.
So now we're going to hear from Julia Davidson, independent campaigner and founder of Windrush Peterborough.
Thank you for the shout out. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm a little bit disappointed to see the numbers. The numbers are very poor. This isn't a white thing, a black thing. It's an everybody thing. This is about facing up to reality and stop having this city council. The city council has taken advantage of you, the taxpayer. My mother-in-law, who's 80 odd plus, has just seen a ground rent bill to 2. Yes, that is reality. Carers like me, who looks after my father, it's not a lottery. It is a choice, but it's my choice to look after my dad where he's cared for with dignity, with pride, and that he's being supported properly, not having cuts. I've experienced cuts. Those cuts has led to you being here in numbers. The council, who talk about being the environmental capital, is poor. It's shocking. It hasn't done anything for anyone. Yeah? You look around you. We've lost good mainstream shops to become a hub of betting shops, charity shops. Look around you. How does that inspire our young people to stay here? What is it doing for us as a community. It is dividing and conquering. It is separating. It is causing segregation. You're not looking out for each other, you're looking after your own. And it shouldn't be about own, it should be about a community. Because when the community has been impacted the hardest, it's the community they look to. They look for us for voting, they look for us whether you're gay, whether you're straight, whether you're heterosexual, they look at you whether you're bisexual, they look at you if you're transgender. Does any of that matter when it comes around to election time? The answer is no. But when your votes are needed to be counted on, that's when they ordinarily, or under some wave of, oh, let's go and knock on their door, they can identify who you are. But what is this council doing for us? This council has taken, this council on Wednesday had the opportunity to decline a pay rise. They didn't. They're looking after themselves. They're self-servants. They're self-sufficient about what they want. But when it comes down to community, they don't even begin to understand that.
Councillors in our town got pay rise.
They want you to be destitute. They want you to be cap in hand. They're asking for professional people to go to food banks. How is that right? Families are going to food banks. How is that right? Your children are being failed in the educational system. How is that right? They're wanting you to claim benefits. How is that right when they're doing nothing to support Peterborough and the people who live here? Now, fuel prices have just gone up to £1.59 a litre for those of you who drive. I'm a driver. The poor outcome of that is we haven't got a decent transport system in Peterborough to prevent us from driving, so that we can come into Peterborough and support our mainstream shops. We've just come out of a pandemic. Would they know about who you are? We've just come from a COVID tracking and trace. If you suffered, you were able to get a £500 allowance, extra additional, but you had to prove that you had tracking and tracing. Have you tried getting it? Because I've tried applying for other people. And you know, the maze to get to the right department to enable people who are suffering to get it is ridiculous. Now, I am an ex-councillor, and I bloody cared about Peterborough, and I still care about Peterborough. I haven't uptracked, I haven't left. I've gone on to do something without this bureaucratic bullshit that's going on in Peterborough. Yeah? If you care, get off your arse and do something. If you care, come out and support. If you care and it's impacting on you, your neighbour, your elderly, your loved ones, your extended family members, come out and do something. Don't just shop for shopping's sake. Get a life. Get a spine. Come and have your say. Come and do something. And when there's a full council, go. Go outside. Raise your concerns. If you're dissatisfied with what you're being dispensed, then you've got to do something. Brothers, sisters, come and join arms. I'm not a part of a political arena anymore. And the reason why I came away from that was that internal politics was diabolical. It was disgusting. Do you fit the criteria? Are you a part of the whipping system? We can't go against the council. I wanted to be somebody who wasn't going to be scared. Yes, I am opinionated, but I'm opinionated for the right reasons. I'm opinionated because I care. I'm opinionated because since I left the council, people have not stopped coming to me for one reason or the other. And where are the councillors here today?
Yeah.
Look around you. Where are they? Yeah? I can see one or two. Not many. Not many, but where are they? Who are they representing? They're meant to be representing you, the people. They're meant to be standing in solidarity. They're meant to be giving you assurances and hopes, not just for now, but for the future. Now, Alex contacted me, and I was on a forum with Alex, and likewise Mr. Fowler here, Darren Fowler. And I was inspired yet again, and I thought, my dad's knocking on the door of bereavement, yeah? But I still found the time to come today because it matters. It does matter, and you should care. I appreciate those of you taking the time to stand out in the cold. I do appreciate the time that you stood out there in the rain, and I do appreciate those who are you clapping at the moment. But Rushak and Boris Johnson are looking down at a barrel, and I'm the one who's gonna light that ticker tape underneath their ass because something needs to be done. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Next we have
Burning Sands,
Joseph
hiya.
from
Hope you're
Labour.
doing well. Good to have America watching in. It's a protest about we can't pay fuel prices, gas prices, rent prices, food, everything.
Follow that. Thank you, Julia. You always were a
I hope you're keeping well over there.
party and where you're coming from, because I'm not standing this year either, because I feel we can do more outside of the council. But for those of you who may have listened in on Wednesday, we had a full council meeting, and I brought to the attention of everybody what's going on in council. Our leader, Councillor Gerald, has told us he's justified in accepting his extra £33,000 a year for being a leader. But what does he do for that extra £33,000 a year, ladies and gentlemen? He talks about collective responsibility. It's everybody's responsibility that we're in the state it is. But when we're in the meetings and we talk about the cuts, he goes, they're not Conservative cuts, they're the officers' cuts. So there's no responsibility. As far as the Conservative administration is concerned, Peterborough has had 21 years of growth and prosperity. Do you feel very prosperous, ladies and gentlemen, under this administration?
You get me in trouble.
Cuts after cuts after cuts. And yet they feel justified in accepting a rise in their pay and justified in taking £250,000 a year out of the taxpayers' money in special responsibility allowances, ladies and gentlemen. £250,000 a year where they are supposed to sit in council and run this city for the betterment of the people of Peterborough. And that the council, whoever it is in there, whatever party they are, it doesn't matter. The people are paid to look after our interests, and it's about time we demanded that all of our councillors
and then
do
go
that
back in.
for us. Thank you.
That just said you go back in. You just said it. It's delayed.
Lorna's going to speak.
No, it's cut off there.
Sorry, I've just not
Touch that button, turns off the screen.
I just felt that I had to
delayed
say
on here, that is.
that this is just the beginning of a deep
I hate this going
economic
for it.
winter,
I hate it for it.
and we must prepare ourselves.
Touch it other place, and that's where your
for
mic holes are.
that. Okay, so we need to step up. We need to be more organised. We need to claim our place in the town. Okay, I'm a member of Unite, so I do encourage everyone to join a union if you're not already in a union. Obviously, I'm not in paid work or paid employment. Anyone can join Unite. Okay, so I've joined as a retired member. It's really important that we join a union. We have strength in numbers. That's what our strength is. So please join a union. Remember, the economic winter is just beginning.
Thank you so much. Next we have Heather Simpson from Labour councillor to speak.
Hello everybody. I think I'm the last speaker, so I won't keep it really short. But I just wanted to say that I noticed that in the Peterborough Telegraph on the February the 19th, Paul Bristow, MP, attempted some shallow point scoring at the expense of everyone in this city that will be affected by the government's austerity politics. While making his claims, he fails to acknowledge that there is a cost of living crisis that would affect the poorest in our community disproportionately. And this crisis will mean many more working families have to use food banks as wages flatline and costs go up. We've also got the rise in council taxes and energy bills. What is needed is a fundamental restructuring of the tax system, and basic services should be in the hands of the whole community, not. We need a change of government, and we need the people to rise up against this system that enables some people to profit and live in extreme luxury and others to desperately struggle to make a living from one day to the next. It does not have to be like this, and it's up to us to make a change. Tories in this city have been in charge for 22 years, and we now have a virtually bankrupted council. However, they continue to blame all the other councillors from different parties for the mess they've made. The budget now agreed will see families suffering in this city due to the increase in council tax, cutting of many services, as well as stopping the hardship fund and services to help people defend their brutal cuts in benefits. We desperately need a change in this city, and as a Labour councillor in Peterborough, I ask you to use your vote in the coming elections to make this change and vote in candidates from other parties who will work as a coalition to create a fairer
Remember,
city
voting don't work.
with well-functioning local services. Help us to get the Tories out of the town hall and one day out of Westminster. Thank you.
Brilliant. Finally, we have Alan Gaspariti's local councillor going to speak.
Ooh. About to finish, Pete, so I won't be being alive much longer.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you all hear me? Yeah. Thanks ever so much. Peterborough City Council are crooked.
We know that.
I told them 3 months ago, when they were talking about closing the Key Theatre, all they had to do was reduce the councillors' allowances by 10%, withdraw all the council committee leaders' allowances, and you could pay, that would make up 300 grand. You could pay for the Key Theatre for a year.
There you go, you see. Councillors not wanting to let go of their expenses.
Instead, they've increased their salaries, increased their allowances rather.
They're doing it, the rich. Always trying to get richer, making the poor poorer.
Not trying to help anybody in the city whatsoever. And they waste their money on things like trying to get a football stadium on the embankment, trying to get rid of a 600-year-old tree at Bretton, trying to put up a fence at Warrington, which nobody wants. And I ask everybody to come here as often as possible and stand up against Peterborough City Council. One day we need to have a march, one evening all the way on a full council meeting to the San Martin House, and let the councillors know what we think of them and what we think of what they're doing with our money. Because we must remember, it is our money that paying the council taxes, that paying national taxes, which come from central government to local government. It's coming from us, and they need to do what we ask them to do for our benefit, not for their benefit, not for the benefit of John Peach, not for the benefit of Wayne Fitzgerald, not for the benefit of any of them Tory councillors. Tories out! Tories out! Tories out! Tories out! I must remind you as well.
To collect your tickets from the station before you leave.
Remember, on the next general election, remember which party is in government. Been in government for the last 12 years, gave us austerity, while Fred Goodwin, who ruined RBS, caused its collapse and recession, received £350,000 pension. Remember which Chancellor doubled the UK national debt, and the current ones are trying to treble it over the last 12 years. And you need to know that in the last 12 years, MPs have had an increase in salaries of £19,000 in 12 years. And yet they keep saying, key workers, we haven't got the money to pay key workers, we haven't got the money. They keep telling us. Yet they've got £9.9 billion to write off for failed and inadequate PPE contracts. Yep, billion, that's a billion. I meant
9.9 billion they've written off. They won't write off £200, which we might ask for the energy costs. I should also know that France capped their energy prices with 4% increase. Germany capped theirs with a 5% increase. Instead, the UK haven't capped theirs, and our energy costs will have gone up 54%. We must not let this Conservative government get away with this, because they're trying to ruin the people, trying to ruin the country, trying to kill us all off, just like they did with the pandemic. Those people, those patients who were ill and suffering were sent to care homes to make the most vulnerable and the most ill and elderly suffer even more, to kill more people. Boris Johnson is a murderer, and anyone who supports him is likewise, and you can tell that to bloody Paul Bristow. All Tories are murderers.
Thank you everybody for coming out today. I know the weather. As you enjoyed it all so much last time, I'm going to sing a song! At the ending of last century, I thought I knew the score. The miners lost the battle, but the good guys won the war. I stayed up with my folks, we drank champagne till 6 a.m. The morning that we saw the Tories out at number 10. Well, short-lived was the victory from that May morning, and when came the bloody warring through the door of Tony Blair, a nation of resistance, peaceful folk denied a choice. They taught a generation that a vote was not a voice. Well, before too long the boom was bust and the money had run dry. And when the people turned around and asked Westminster why, the false god they had made out of the city still prevailed. And we were told the welfare state is why the system failed. Well, we were sold prosperity off working people's backs. And while we got mass austerity, the rich got let off tax. And now the NHS is on its knees and the one to get the blame are people washed up on the shore with nothing to their name. A world of competition for resources we should share was brought around by Thatcher and made stronger under Blair. But nobody on this earth should fight for food or home or health. And I know we won't survive on every person for themselves. Well, I know less than ever what tomorrow's got in store. But I owe it to my children to try for a little more than cruelty and division, folks left in poverty to die. If we've got a chance to change it, I'm damn well gonna try.
Hey!
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for coming out. We will be here again on the 2nd of April. Hopefully, we will have some sunshine. Bring your voices, bring your banners, and let's make some noise. Let this government know that we are not happy. We cannot survive this way. Thank you. Peace.
There you go, Pete. Right, wait a minute, just going to end this. Right, thank you guys for joining us and all that. We'll be again at the 2nd of April. Any protests that happen in the city, we'll try and get them down. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment and all that, and we'll get back to you again soon. Bye.
I'm going to go and get warm because I'm fucking freezing.